I'm Vin. My partner in crime is missing. She's sick. She went down to sleep. So this is a song that's released completely out of time, whatever, because I don't really know what to do with myself, and I'm actually very bored. No, on a serious note, though, one of our villagers' favorite country, one of his favorite country folks, passed away today from the situation that we're all kind of in, which is pretty crazy because the big homie beat cancer twice, but it is what it is. When it's your time, it is your time. So this is John Prine. This is actually going to be the first country song that we've listened to on the channel, which Sori's probably going to be mad because she wanted her first secular song to be reviewed by yours truly on the channel, but this is a pretty special occasion, and so I'm going to do it. This is Paradise from John Prine. So let's check it out. And go. I don't have Sori here, so. Technical difficulties, stand by. I have no idea what I'm doing. Oh, I'm so bad with technicals. Where's Peter? Stand by, guys. Trust me, at some point, we're going to get this thing to work. I think this thing goes into the computer. Maybe I'll edit this part out. Maybe I won't. Oh, I think this is it right here. I think you plug this thing in. Oh, yeah, that was definitely it. Okay, back on schedule, y'all. And, hold on. And, go. John Prine, Paradise.
When I was a child, my family would travel down to western Kentucky, where my parents were born. And there's a backwards old town that's often remembered so many times that my memories are worn. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River, where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Well, sometimes we travel right down the Green River to the abandoned old prison down by Adrie Hill, where the air smelled like snakes and we'd shoot with our pistols. But empty pop bottles was all we would kill. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River, where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. Then the coal company came with the world's largest shovel, and they tortured the timber and stripped all the land. Well, they dug for their coal till the land was forsaken. Then they wrote it all down as the progress of man. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River, where paradise lay. Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away. When I die, let my ashes float down the Green River. Let my soul roll on up to the Rochester Dam. I'll be halfway to heaven with paradise waiting just 5 miles away from wherever I am. And Daddy, won't you take me back to Muhlenberg County, down by the Green River where paradise lays? Well, I'm sorry, my son, but you're too late in asking. Mr. Peabody's coal train has hauled it away.
Wow. That was deep, man. That was deep. You know, he it's just crazy how life works out. You know, you beat cancer twice, and then there you go. This song, it's really interesting because this song is a very conscious. Woke is the term everybody uses now. This song is kind of woke because it's talking about, you know, the conflict between, you know, technology and forms of capitalism and what that does to the environment and the that's pretty I mean, he comes out and explicitly says it here when he says they dug for their coal till the land was forsaken, and then they wrote it down all as a progress of man. So like he's conscious of the fact that you know, they basically destroyed the environment for the sake of capital. And that's an ironic line, right? They all wrote it down as a progress of man. Like, that's an ironic line in the sense of he's not agreeing with that. He's not agreeing that that is a marker of the progress of man. It looks like he's looking at it as a regression because you're losing something, right? Like and obviously at the same time, like if we didn't have technology and we didn't do those things, you know, we wouldn't be able to communicate with each other as well. If you think about like all the science and everything that goes into the iPhone, where my daughter can message me something, and, you know, she's downstairs or whatever, and so it's always a conflict between, you know, how much is enough and how much of the land, you know, do we destroy, right? I mean, just point blank for the sake of human progress, technology, capital, whatever, because everybody balances it somehow, because at the end of the day, you're still going to go to that mall, right? And, you know, which, you know, most of our shopping centers were once forests that got clear-cutted. So, like, on the one hand, it's a crazy balance that we have to try to strike as human beings, which, of course, obviously, us from a biblical perspective, you're supposed to take dominion of the land, but take dominion of the earth does not mean to destroy the earth. It means you're the steward of the earth, and so on the one hand, it's in your jurisdiction to cut down a tree if it's going to further human progress, but you can't cut down too many. And what the lines are, I don't think we've figured that out yet. And, you know, if I was really, really cynical about it, I'd say we probably will figure out when it's too late, when we're all, you know, hyperventilating because we're running out of oxygen because we've destroyed all the forests in the world. You know, so that's one part about it. The other one is sort of like the nostalgia of. So I did an assignment in Kentucky actually for a year. Like I did a year straight. I had to go down to Kentucky, take care of some stuff, and I was kind of like right by UK, University of Kentucky, like right in the middle of that. So I didn't really get that whole like southern kind of feel to things. You know what I mean? Like the people I worked with were very southern, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am type guys. But I didn't get like the, you know, it was crazy. One of the the bigwigs came from Virginia, and he was talking, and actually I think he mentioned some backwater city or something in Kentucky. He's like, you know, you guys are the best of the best, you're the brightest, da da da. Even though you're from Kentucky, you're not from this, whatever. I don't know if it was Paradise or whatever. And it turns out that, like, our lead thingamajiggy was from that. She's like, oh, that's where my dad currently still lives there. It was like a very awkward moment. We move on. But yeah, so I never really got like the whole like South, this is Kentucky type thing, which actually I'm lamenting that. I actually wish I would have had that experience, but my time there was very concentrated and there were very, very specific things I had to do. So I didn't have the time to basically explore that place and like get to know that part of America, which actually, now that, when I was younger, I was in Florida, and so you definitely, down south, deep south, for sure. But there was always like the racial tension stuff, so I wasn't able to like actually experience it above that being an issue. Whereas now I feel like if I'd have gone back there, who knows, we might end up there, but like, even if there's a racial stuff, I'd be able to like get past it and just like experience what it actually means to be a Southerner. Because, the whole, I used to read Tom Sawyer when I was younger, and the idea of going out and catching snakes and kids having guns, like BB guns, and shooting at the thing and all that, like just for fun, and none of the craziness that we deal with today, is I was always attracted to that when I would read Tom Sawyer, and I never really had that type of a life, 80s, 90s kids. So, it wasn't like that where we were, but it just seemed like there was also this other book called The Great Brain. Now that I think about it, there's this book called The Great Brain, and it was like basically set in the 1800s. And again, just that simple life that they had, that I always I was always drawn to it, and it probably had to do with like the chaos that I grew up with as a kid, you know what I mean? So listening to the song and looking at the lyrics, it's like, it seems like that was a life that he had, when he's talking about the empty pop bottle. The air smelled like snakes and we'd shoot with our pistols. Like, what does that mean that the air smelled like snakes? That's just a very good literary device to kind of paint the picture. And he's got, Muhlenberg County, Airdrie Hill, Green River, like he's landmarked these places, which is, pretty cool. In hip hop, it'll happen. They'll talk about their specific, like Jay-Z would talk about the Marcy housing developments. Like, so if you lived in the Marcy housing developments, like here's an artist naming your neighborhood or whatever and making it famous. So it must have been pretty cool for somebody from Kentucky, because it's talking about Paradise, Kentucky, right? It must have been cool for somebody from that area, Rochester, Dam, like all these places are being named and like put on the map because this guy is doing that, which I think is a pretty good homage to his, to where he came up, and obviously at the end, it's pretty ironic when he says, when I die, let my ashes float down the Green River. And then, now he's gone off into the next world, today. But, it's one of those things where these guys, they accomplish their dream, they make beautiful music, they do what they do, and then, they go, and it's one of those things where, hey, he was 73 years old, lived a full life, and beat cancer twice. So, you got to give it up to the big homie. But yeah, man, definitely a sad day. But I think like the bigger thing is kind of like thinking about, that was one of the things that happened for me. Like we moved around so much that I didn't have a place where I'm like, okay, this is home. This is where I will reminisce. If I was a famous musician or whatever, this is a place I would talk about. There's so many places, So I don't really know what that feels like, but it must be a pretty cool nostalgic feeling to want to shout out your neighborhood. But at the same time, like, I bet you anything, especially guys that make it big in the music industry, I suppose, it's like, man, I wish I could get out of this small city, or sometimes feeling the city's like not big enough for you or whatever. But at the end, then you grow up and then you want to come back home, and then you realize you can't come back home because it's never the same. And like that's kind of like what that phrase means to me anyway, when people say you can never go back home. It's not that like the physical location, but it's never going to be the same way that you left it. And that must have been a pretty massive, tragic culture shock. I want to go down by the Green River where paradise lay, and the dad's like, nope. Things have changed to the point where, industry and all that has taken over this town, and those beautiful landmarks that are central to your childhood are gone. And so I think that as a principle is always true. In this particular situation, the culprit was technology, but that's just, I'm assuming it's always true that you can never really go back home because people are different, people change, people get older, your folks get older, somebody died, whatever, one friend moved away, like things never stay. So that's one of the blessings and the curses, I think, is about growing up the way I did. On the one hand, like I never really got attached to any particular place and for nostalgia. And so in that sense, I never lost it. But at the same time, it's tragic because I never had it either. But it is what it is. Man, what a good song. I'm not going to rate it because, out of respect for the big homie, it was just something I did on the fly, but I'm glad I listened to the song. And the other thing is, like, this is classified as country music. Country music must be a pretty massive, diverse genre, because what is country music now doesn't sound anything like this, which is, of course, 1971. I mean, it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be different, right? So I get it on that perspective, but, I'm not sure about what country music actually is as a definition. So that's one of the things that I'm hoping to see in the comments. Maybe I'll see in the comments people say, all right, Vin, this is what country music is about. So anyway, shout out to the big homie. Rest in peace to him. Comfort to his family. And then to the rest of you guys, man, just let's keep practicing social distancing. Let's keep washing our hands. This thing obviously doesn't care about your socioeconomic strata. It doesn't care about anything. It's just there to do its thing. So we got to do what we need to do to make sure that everybody stays safe. So there you are, dear listener. To everybody that's mourning the death of this guy, or anybody, if you've lost anyone due to COVID, brutal stuff. So much love to you. So hopefully this video can help you in some way, shape, or form. Then out. I'm looking for Sorry. Ugh, I could not do this without her. Gone.